say sideways here. Oh, still need to rotate it. All right. How's it going, everyone? I'm gonna pop the chat up here. There we go. All right. So we got Benny in here. We got Moto Faith. This is the first time, so I'm starting a little bit early. So yeah, we'll I can see your guys' chat pop up, so it's pretty convenient to be able to talk to you guys in person. Talk a little about what I do on the bike, off the bike, what I do for work. Being from the state of Nebraska, what it was like growing up here. Just kind of a little bit everything that kind of goes on in my life. Obviously, here's most of my race shop. Got 2 bikes there for sale, and then the 2 race bikes, 250 and 450. But yeah, this is my workshop. Obviously, we've got lots of furniture in here. That's what I do. Office interior contractor. A lot of stuff in here, but I am doing, oh, block that. I'm doing this off my phone, so I'm just kind of holding it. That way we can be, here by my bikes. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, you guys can go ahead and start. Go ahead and ask me, like I said, just about anything. Should have a lot of local people from my area that will be popping in here. So, it should be a good, quick, fun 30 minutes. So just kind of, like I said, I'm keeping an eye on chat here. We'll kind of do a little overview of each bike. My race 250 is a little bit dirty. I was doing some arena cross testing earlier this week, but no problem, Moto Faith. You're welcome. I'm doing good. Had to do a little bit of work today. Had to pull a few strings to get somebody to work for me tonight, even though my dad owns the company. I still have to show up and do some work. But did I ride any other brands before Honda? I got picked up by Honda when I was around 12 or 13. I was always about a top 10 amateur national kid, a couple top 5s, at Ponca, Branson. I got a couple moto wins when that was a national. But I grew up riding KTMs. I was on the side support factory KTM with Cole Seeley and Michael Lessie when obviously we were all youngsters, 4, 7, 8 years old, riding the 50s, and then hopped on to the Cowies. The KTM 65 and Cowie 65 both came out very, very close together. So then after KTMs, I was on backdoor support for Team Green as well, growing up. So yeah, 13 was a switch to Honda, and since then, I've got great support from Storm Lake Honda in Iowa, Storm Lake, Iowa, and yeah, never looked back. Always been Jeff Schultz at Storm Lake has always been like a second family to me. So it's always been hard to switch over since I had 15 years under my belt riding a Honda. The age that I started at, right at about 4 years old, I got my first PW50. So I guess yeah, there's Yamaha. I did ride those too, but for a short period of time. What was my first sponsor? My very first sponsor, obviously, just like pretty much every other kid. Here, I'm gonna hop up on this bike. Like any other kid, my first sponsor was mom and dad. My mom actually bought me my first dirt bike after training me how to ride a bicycle without training wheels. And my dad was in the Air Force, so he went to a training mission, or he had to go fly overseas somewhere. 3.5 years old, my mom took me in the garage and was like, all right, you're gonna learn how to ride a bike without training wheels. So about 2 weeks later, he came home, and 3 years old, I was riding around the garage with one hand, riding my bicycle without those training wheels. So that's kind of how I got started. So yeah, mom and dad first sponsor. Real first sponsor, probably a local shop here in Omaha that is no longer. So yeah, that was my first sponsor. A little bit on each question. We are still a little bit early, but some of these questions might get asked again. Loretta's or Minios. I used to go to Minios every year, starting in '99 till about 04, 05 when I did turn pro, straight from 80s. Loretta's, I actually just went for my first time this last year to race. I did the plus 25 class, and I had a good shot in 250 Pro, but I got a rock stuck in my front sprocket on this. It was muddy, racing with Lance Kabush, young, fast kid. Zane Merritt was also there. So full gate. So there's some good competition, some good fun stuff. But yeah, Loretta's was just the plus 25 this year, which is also a super fast class. That's basically a third pro class at Loretta's. Big eye opener for sure. I'm much more of an indoor guy than I am an outdoor guy, but I can get down on both. So yep, Loretta's once, Mini-O's, a lot of top ends at Mini-O's. Inspired me to ride, I think it was the next one. Let's see, it pops up here. Sorry, my finger keeps coming in my camera. I have to keep it sideways here and trying to stay on top of the... What do I think about the YZ65 and who inspired me to ride? The inspiration came from my dad. He did it locally. Brian Deegan, which I'm sure a lot of you know that name. Metal Militia, Freestyle, Hayden Deegan is his kid, Danger Boy Deegan. He's actually from my hometown. I wouldn't say he necessarily inspired me to ride as much as my dad did, but my dad did ride with him, and Denny Stevenson was another really well-known former pro of our area. So I hung out a lot with those guys. I rode down, we had a little sand track by the river. That's where I learned how to ride. So any track that has sand in it, I am super happy about, because a lot of people don't like sand, and I excel in it. So that's one advantage I have when I come to a track that has some sand in it. But yeah, Brian Deegan, he was from my hometown, Bellevue, Nebraska. His dad was actually my superintendent of schools, which is a pretty cool fact. Not a lot of people really, you know, get somebody like Brian Deegan's dad to be superintendent of schools. So I got out of a lot of stuff. Not like I was a bad kid or anything in school, but mainly being gone so much for amateur nationals, Ponca, Mini-O's, all that takes, 2 to 3 weeks to go down to Florida and race that national. So being in public school, I graduated from a public high school, about 350 kids in my graduating class back in 2008. So I always did my schoolwork. I was always an A/B student, which was a requirement for me to keep racing, and my parents helping me out. So all right, next question was, do I do good in the mud? I enjoy riding in the mud. I'm a little bit, I wouldn't say I'm short, but I'm not the tallest guy either. So there, a good saying that one of my best friend's dad said was, this isn't Princess Cross. So, if it's muddy, everybody has to ride the same track. So, and the YZ85, I think the YZ85 is cool. It's good to have some options there. For the longest time, it was just the KX65 and the KTM65. And I know Husky came out with it within years past. But for many years, it was just the KX60, and then before the 65s came out. So obviously being a Honda guy, they don't have a 65, but I think the Yamaha thing's cool. It's always cool when you can see some diversity in a smaller class like that. When you're at Loretta's and all you see is green and orange bikes going zing, zing, zing. It's cool to see the blue bike in the mix there for sure. And now Husky, see some white bikes in there too, so that's pretty cool. My original race number is 821 right here. That's my my pro number was 829. I wasn't able to get 821 when I had my pro license about 6-7 years ago. After so much time, they eventually take that away from you if you don't race, which I did have some years off. That number is inspired from my dad's birthday, which is August 21st, 821. And his racing number was 724, which was my birthday, July 24th. So that's where my number came from. Oh, there they are. Hey, Garrett, how's it going? Thanks for joining in. Looks like we're up to about 7 people now. People trickling in as we go and show you guys some stuff on my bikes. I'm more than happy to do that. I know you probably don't want to be staring at my face for the whole 30 minutes, so that's why I decided to do it here and kind of show you guys some bikes and stuff. There's a couple more questions. My suspension brand is Race Tech. Awesome stuff. They compete with just about anybody. They have great trackside support. Chris Riesenberg is a family friend of mine. He is really well-known guy around the race tech camp, Cody Gilmore also. Cody lives in Omaha now. He's from Iowa, but race tech is definitely the way to go. They've been great to me ever since, I quit racing in 2010 and leading up to that point. And as soon as I got back into it last year, they didn't even think twice about it, and I was right back on their support program. That goes to show that personality goes a long way. You don't have to be the fastest guy on the track. If you have a good personality, you're a good person, you represent the company well, you can get sponsorships. You don't have to be the fastest guy out there. Being fast does help, but personality goes way further than anything else. So another question pop up here. Goals for 2019. Well, like any other racer, when we start riding the pro class and stuff, it's not in. It's this side. Oh, that kind of hurt. But it's just kind of a nagging injury. I kind of took a digger at the Evergood Open a couple weeks ago, which is a fun race. I look forward to that. And I wasn't able to race it because I did crash in practice. And then week after that, decided to come back maybe a little early and dinged it again in practice. So that kind of was 2 weekends in a row that, when you're riding at that level, you can't ride 70 or 80%. You have to be at least 100% healthy, at least, and go in there, and otherwise you're going to really mess yourself up. So, but the goals for 2019, I'm healthy right now. I'm getting the shoulder rehabbed back up, and then mainly do some nitro arena crosses, I think, since there isn't an actual arena cross series. Growing up in the Midwest, the arena cross series, when it was Amsoil, and then before that it was they had the Buku and all these different indoor series. We follow that here in the Midwest. We have to. Unless you can go down to a training facility or have somewhere in Texas or Florida or California to stay, you're not being competitive. So a lot of indoors has been in my past. Done the whole Arena Cross series a couple of years back when I was 16, 17, and that's kind of where I found my footwork. So the indoors is definitely, and then outdoors, we're not too sure about next year yet. We got some Pro-Am points already saved up for next year. Maybe go do that, and you never know, might line up for an outdoor national. Maybe Redbud, Millville would definitely be the two that I would do if I do some outdoors next year. And then I have to keep going back into this chat so it pops back up. It doesn't stay up for me. Yes, Riesenberg is an awesome guy. Garrett, he is. I've known him since I was on minis. Him and his brother Jeremy were always a couple years older than me, but they always took me under their wing like I was one of their own. Just like any other motocross community, it's a tight family. It's basically, it's if some people's first family, it's some people's second family. So, yeah, Riesenberg, great guy. We got him to hop on a bike. That's pretty cool. Been a while since he's done that. All right, let's see. My dad does not still race or ride. Once I turned 7, he kind of gave up his dream or goals of racing, more or less. Kind of focused on me. I got a 6th or a 7th at Ponca. That's when I got the backdoor KTM support. Cole Seeley and Michael Essie were the main KTM guys, and then me and 1 or 2 other guys were backdoor support, which was always pretty cool. Not a lot of kids even had the backdoor opportunity. So he stopped racing about 1997 and kind of started focusing on me. So like any good dad would do. So, and here we are, still in the game. And Ben did ask earlier, do I count gears when I shift? I don't really count gears. It's more of a feel thing. When you get up to these big bikes, especially when you start riding indoor tracks, arena cross style stuff, you really don't get out of 3rd gear too often, especially when you get on the 450, which is the bike that I'm sitting on right now. Oh, that does that too. Mainly don't even get out of 2nd gear on the 450. So it's really more about feel and what gearing I'm running outdoors. When you're going that fast and you're racing for money and doing stuff like that, I think eventually it just becomes natural, and you just kind of feel the bike pull, and if it's not pulling, you're in the wrong gear. What is your favorite track? My favorite track growing up was Village Creek in Texas, and Cooperland would probably be the 2 favorite that I know Village Creek's still around. I don't know if Cooperland is. If it is, it's named something different. And then Millville, it's really hard to beat Millville. Millville, and then there's a track right down the road from Millville, Meadow Valley. That's also a really fun track. Anytime you can ride a national track on a regular race weekend, you can't beat that. You know, just the jumps, how beat up the track gets. A lot of our local races are kind of fair race-ish. Not that the track doesn't get braking bumps and stuff, but it's not like going to Millville or, even on a practice day. Millville's so rough, so it's a lot of fun to ride that track for sure. How about clutching the corners? That is one thing that I'm really guilty about. I've done quite a few schools when I was on minis with Shannon Ide. I've worked with a couple of local pros, growing up. I was always one of the faster, if not the fastest, 65, 85 rider around my area. So I even taught a couple schools to some younger people. But just being an indoor guy, you got to use that clutch sometimes to pop over some of those triples right out of the corner. So I always got kind of guilty about that. That's something that I work on. Actually, we'll take a clutch lever sometimes right here, and we will loosen our two bolts right there, and we will make this clutch go all the way up to here. So the reason for that is so I don't use the clutch, and that way when it is time for it and I go back to my normal riding style, that clutch is there for me, and it kind of practices not using it. And when it is there for you and you're practicing not using it, it does make you do your corners just a little bit better. And that was a Shannon Ide little tip that he always has kids and even adults my age. He'll be out there and I'll be supposed to set an example. He'll be like, don't do it that way. So bad habits, you form good habits and bad habits, and good habits are easy to maintain and the bad habits are hard to get rid of. Let's see here. Have I ever raced? Oh, wow. Lots of people coming in. Cool. Cool, but a bummer at the same time. I live in Central Missouri, and my 65-year-old dad, or 65-year-old dad still races vintage MX all over the state. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, a lot of my dad's interests just kind of, I wouldn't say shifted, traveling with me to do, go to mini. He runs a business. This whole shop is his. I do work full time for him as an office interior contractor. Kind of answered two of those questions, kill two birds, one stone. But he was in the Air Force. He got out and started this company. He does flying. He has his private pilot's license, which is pretty cool. Golf memberships at two different golf clubs, I believe. So he spends a lot of his time. Not only he still works too, and he enjoys going to the track. So he'll come to the track and be my mechanic sometimes when the time allows him to do that, for sure. So. And it's definitely cold where I'm at. It's nearing down the end of the 30s pretty much every day. We might get like a spike in the 40s, maybe 50s if we're lucky. And it's already snowed once this year here. That was short-lived though. A couple weeks ago. I think we might get some snow Thursday. I hope not. I'm supposed to do a little arena cross training with a couple of people here locally in Omaha. Be doing that Saturday. Most of the day, and then riding all day Sunday at a buddy's house. Austin Fredrickson has his own track at his house about 15-20 minutes away from me, so pretty fortunate with that too. Having a couple local tracks that I don't have to travel really further than an hour, and I can ride 3 or 4 tracks every day. So not a lot of people have that opportunity in the Midwest either, so definitely take advantage of that. Somebody did ask earlier about my music taste. I forget who that was. Scroll up, I guess, a little bit. It's a little bit up there, but favorite music. Growing up, it was always mainly punk rock, kind of rock. Blink 182, Simple Plan, stuff like that. Actually, me and Adam Cincerillo probably have dang near a mirrored playlist, I would say. I look to him for a lot of music. Actually, he posts some pretty good stuff, punk rock wise. As far as like in the gym, at the track, that's what I would listen to. A little bit of electronic here and there, of course, country. Being from Nebraska, even though I'm a city boy, definitely still have some of those country roots that we listen to that too. Not so much rap, not really into the whole rap thing, but there's a couple of songs, I think music is universal, so really, you know, there are some songs that are just too far out there in the rap world, but there's some good hip hop songs too, for sure. Um, let's see here. Do I have any pets? I personally don't have any pets. Since I travel a lot, not only for racing but for work too. There's our work trailer. Um, my sister owns her own house, and she's actually younger than me, and I just pretty much have half of her house, which is the whole basement, to myself. And so she has a dog, which, you know, when I am home, I have a kind of a unique work schedule to where I can let him out during the day. So if you were to ask him if he could speak human, he would probably say that he was my pet, but my sister would probably disagree. But she also has 3 cats and a bearded dragon. So I wouldn't say it's a zoo at our house, but we definitely have some animals. And then plans for 2019, 28 years young. Yeah, 28 years young. I don't bounce off the ground like I used to. I found that out this year. So, yeah, the 2019 plans is going to be, there's going to be a lot of nitro arena crosses starting in 2019. The season, technically, 2019 season, indoor season starts this month, really, for us. So these next couple of months are technically part of the 2019 season. I think a lot of Supercross guys would say the same thing, just because they're working full-time training. You know, you got the MTF, GPF down in Georgia, the Goat Farm, Club MX, SOBMX. All those guys are already training full-time. So, yeah, Nitro Arena Crosses. I know there's one about an hour away from me in Lincoln, Nebraska. That is the first week of January, I think. So that'd probably be one of the first one of those that I do. There's a couple in Kansas. There's not sure if there's one in Denver, and then hopefully I'll be able to get down to Florida. One of my best friends, Dylan Cloyd, he trains down at the Goat Farm, and last year I was fortunate enough to go down there and hang out for a month. Broke my wrist the first week I was down there, so no riding, but be able to hang out at Ricky Carmichael's training facility, hang out with his mom and talk to her like she's just another person. That was pretty eye-opening. You know, that was humbling. You know, I've always been friends and hung out with kids at the track growing up. You know, Eli Tomac pitted next to me one year at Minio's, and we played video games the whole time. So, but still, you know, being 28, being out of the game for a little while, and to walk onto the goat farm, that's something that I'll never forget. So, yeah, 2019 season is going to be a lot of indoors. Maybe we can get our pro license for outdoors and then think about Supercross next year. But yeah, Millville Redbud Outdoors. We'll see if we can get our pro license before those happen. 60 pro am points shouldn't be too hard. A couple of top fives at a couple pro ams, and we should be there. I saw somebody pop up there about favorite holiday. Oh, favorite holiday. Everybody says Christmas, but mine is probably, I would say Easter, just because that means that summer's coming. Everybody likes Christmas, but here it means cold, it means winter, it means snow, and my lifestyle, I'm not a snowboarder, definitely not a skateboarder either. Those are two things that I'm terrible at. Pretty good at other sports, but yeah, just the winter and me have never got along, so I would have to say Easter, just because I know that means spring, that means summer, and that's kind of, yeah, I'm all about the warm weather. What's the one thing, Garrett says, what's the one thing you are super picky about on your bike? The only thing I'm super picky about on my bike, really, probably levers. I run my levers a little higher than your average person. It's a little hard to see. Mine stay pretty level with the grip. Most people run them down a little bit further, but I like it just right there, nice and level, so that way I'm not reaching, even though it does make your elbows maybe want to go down a little bit, but it's just, yeah, that's probably the only picky thing. I've never really been much of a picky rider. I know that, you know, with how expensive motocross is, you know, I've always got some side support help and stuff, but never been much of a picky rider. You know, I set my sag. I know my suspension's done by Race Tech, so I know when I get it, it's all ready to go outside of setting sag, and I have a couple of professional mechanics that live only 45 minutes away, so you know, at my shop here, I do my oil changes, I do my air filters, you know, I'll change a sprocket, I'll put a chain on, I will do all the little stuff, but once it starts getting into motor work and stuff that I know is going to take me a whole day to do, I'll just bring it to one of the mechanic guys because I know that I can just go work, be on the clock, not mess it up. And at the level that we're riding at, it's really hard to tear into a motor yourself and then not be thinking about that when you're on the line. So definitely just trust, the guys who work on my bikes. So outside of that, I do quite a bit of the maintenance though. Let's see here. Oh, Jay from Nitro. Yeah, Jay's cool. I haven't got to talk to him too much. Just friends with him on social media. Met him last year at the Lincoln round. That's when I was still recovering from my collarbone. So yeah, I'm excited to get in there and do some of that. Actually, in 2 weeks, not this weekend, but the weekend after, there's a Midwest Supercross, they call it. It's just a little bit bigger than an arena cross, to be honest. But it's a pretty cool event. A lot of our local A classes during the summer will get anywhere from 4 to 10 guys, depending on the payout. It sucks that it comes down to that, but the Midwest Supercross is cool because we'll get 15 to 25 guys from South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, pretty much all over the place. So it's cool to be able to line up in a small venue like that with a bunch of guys and bang some bars. Yeah, so pretty excited for the Nitro stuff for sure. And then let's see here. Any riding tips? Like I said, I'll be doing a school this Saturday. Obviously, I know you don't live probably close enough to be able to come attend, but what I learned quite a bit. When I was 19, 20, I thought I had it all figured out. A lot of people, I'm sure think that same way when you age 5 or 10 years, like, wow, why was I like that when I was that age? But I have watched a lot of videos, and even as a pro, you can still pick up on things like watching Eli Tomac, watching Jeffrey Hurlings, watching those top pro guys, and Eli and Jeffrey, how long they keep the feet on the pegs for in a corner. Sometimes don't even put their leg out for balance. Try and pick up on little things like that. Even I still learn from guys who are 10, 15 years younger than me. Ryder D, he's another person that is, you watch him ride and you can pick up on some stuff for sure. So that would be the only riding tip. Your typical, keep your elbows up, always ride on the tank. You always, when you're riding in the pits, even a good thing to do is to sit up really far in the tank right here and sit up with your elbows up and ride like that to the line. Be ready. The best thing that I would say my forte on the dirt bike track is my starts. I've always been a really good starter, and that is obviously 70% of the race. You get a good start, you're going to finish up front if you keep it on 2 wheels. So definitely that. Work on your starts too. Yeah, I think starts are most important. What gear brand do you wear? Right now I'm wearing Thor. That's a signed jersey I'll be giving away at the end of the show. Looks like, I think we've got about 10 minutes or so. So yeah, I'll sign that jersey away. That's gear from last year. I got some new stuff coming. I don't actually have a gear sponsor from Thor or anything. I have a really, really awesome guy by the name of Dave Zarnecki that hooks me up on anything, pretty much Parts Unlimited offers. So Alpine Star boots, that I got that pair. I think I got another pair. Yeah, there's a second pair there. Bell helmets, but Bell hooks me up with a pretty good discount. But outside of that, goggles and gear, I pretty much pay at cost from what Parts Unlimited would get. But I really like the Thor stuff. It was a little nervous with all the animals on the jerseys this year, but there's some other stuff that looks pretty good. So if that's the route that I take this year, if I don't get a gear sponsor, then I'll probably just do that again. So, and I'm all right with that. Let's see. What's your favorite riding gear? I've always been a big fan of Thor too. So like I said, I mean, since I'm paying for it, I don't pay full cost for it. But if I'm going to be paying for gear, I'm going to wear the gear that I want. Thor and Fox obviously are probably the two more popular ones as far as people outside of our motocross world. Obviously, if you race all the time, there's Fly, Answer, Shift, FXR. The list goes on and on and on. So just waiting for the right opportunity. Definitely put myself out there a little bit more for a gear sponsor, but I'm definitely fortunate enough to have the sponsors that I do that make it possible to be able to have to go buy my gear. If I didn't get help from FMF, Race Tech, Storm Lake, Rip and Ruts, all those guys, that I really wouldn't be able to buy gear, to be honest. So yeah, it's pretty fortunate that I got those deals after 7 years off too. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, that jersey, I'll be signing that off. Pants don't fit me anymore. Been in the gym, getting a little musclier, so a little more muscle on there. So had to retire the pants on that set. Do you ever ride some northern Missouri tracks like Midwest Extreme Park or Challenge tracks? Back in the day, I used to do a lot of stuff down in Missouri. I'd try to travel away from Nebraska. Just in my era, my generation, there wasn't a lot of fast 65 or 85 guys. There might be one person on any given weekend, and it sounds kind of cocky, but I used to let kids go on the starting gate just so I could practice how to pass people. Because locally I didn't have anybody that I could get a start and run away with it. So did a lot of traveling down to Texas to ride for weeks. A lot of riding in Missouri as an amateur, not so much as a pro, since I've only been back for about a year and a half. So definitely plan on getting down to KC Moto, which is now Adrenaline MX. A good friend of mine, Josh Christensen, his dad, who I see at work actually all the time, he is tied in with the new KC Moto. So next year that'll be some good riding down there, and plan on doing some training with some people and set up some camps and stuff. So that'll be pretty cool next year. But yeah, KC Moto is no longer. Let's see here. Are you a morning or night owl? I'm a little bit of both. I enjoy the nightlife too. I'm 28 years old. I've gone out and had a couple drinks with friends and stuff. Omaha, Nebraska is not really the best place for that, but I have to get up early in the morning to go work too. If I want to get off in time to go ride at the end of the day, especially with our shortened days now, I have to start work at 6:30 or 7 in the morning. So I would say I enjoy night more, 'cause I don't really like waking up that early, but you do what you got to do. So yeah, Jeff is so awesome. He doesn't do a whole lot of graphic kits for just random people. Me and him knew each other as amateurs. He's a couple years older than me, but when I first came back, I was working with Fusion Graphics. Things just weren't really clicking. I felt just kind of like another fish in the pond to them, and took forever to respond to stuff, and paying full price for graphics. I kind of want my stuff when it's supposed to be here. So that kind of fell through, and then got in contact with Jeff, and we haven't even seen each other at a track since he started helping me out. But yeah, he's been great help. He if he did start doing stuff, check out ripandrets.com. I know he does do jersey printing and stuff like that. So he's an awesome guy. He's done all my kits. I'll hop off this bike and kind of show you guys what he's done for me. Even though I got hurt, this kit for me on my 250 turned out pretty good. Got some bent bars on this bike though. So and then the 450 there. I have my Lyra's graphics that I just took off. I got them in a pile over there, but yeah, he does great work. Jeff Crutcher is the man for sure. Let's answer a few more questions, and we'll probably get working on this jersey here, and I'll sign it on here before we let's see here. How's the shoulder collarbone? Nothing broken from Oak Ridge? No, nothing was broken. I stuck it out that weekend. What sucked was I crashed. Was thinking about racing the next day, which was a Saturday-Sunday race. I got super sick Friday night. It was really cold out. There were some pit bike races. So on top of hurting my collarbone again, which is this side, let's see if I can maybe stick it out a little bit. It's a little swollen still, but you can see a little scar action in there. Pull it over a little more. Kind of hard to see, but yeah, there's a plate and 6 screws in there. So, oh, that was close. Ooh, zoomed in. Yeah, don't want to drop my phone. I took it out of the case, so the screen would be clear, and that was a close call. But yeah, I kind of jammed it up, waited a couple days, went to the doctor the following Monday or Tuesday. Nothing was broke, and then started feeling better throughout the week, so I went and did the Nebraska State Championship, which Benny just asked about. And then in practice, one of the last laps, we just started kind of play riding, throwing some whips. Went into the corner before the jump we were doing, and there's a little rut, and I was on this bike. You can tell that bars are still probably a little bent. This side over here is a little bent, but just popped out of the rut and swapped out and landed on my shoulder again. So that one put me in the ER, and luckily again nothing was broke. I think the 6 plate or the 6 screws and plate that's in there, it doesn't let that collarbone break anymore. I broke it in about 7 or 8 pieces. It's on my Instagram. That's it, at RD821 for all you guys who follow the MotoHub. So it felt like it was broke. I've been pretty good throughout my whole career where I will not go to the ER. You cannot put me in an ambulance. I will drive myself to the hospital. So I drove an hour to the hospital from Lincoln to back here in Omaha, and went and got checked out. Nothing broken again. Still a little sore, but we're getting motion back. So the Nebraska State Championship didn't happen either, so I got hurt in practice there too. Like I said, you don't want to be 70 or 80% riding the pro class, going for a state championship, even the plus 25 class around my area. It's basically a second A class. Over half the guys that ride our 250 and 450 pro classes are plus 25 now. So a lot of those guys probably aren't happy that I'm back, or maybe they are, just so there's more competition. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. How soon before you install heat in that garage? We actually have a heater. It's way up there, but we keep it just toned down. So, I mean, it's bearable in here. It's better than just being in a stagnant, cold garage. But, I mean, all we have in here is furniture besides my bikes. So, the bikes still is better than being in my in-house garage or being in super cold weather. So it's good. Yeah, the plus classes are crazy. I couldn't believe how fast it was at Loretta's. I did make a mistake by bringing my 250 here, racing in a 450 class. Should have raced that bike there. Starts just weren't there, and Loretta's is a gnarly track, so that's one track you want your 450 over a 250. So let's see how many more questions we got here. My favorite movie. My favorite movie. I thought you said moto movie. I was like, I don't know if there's too many moto movies outside of motocross. Favorite movie, probably Forrest Gump. That might be a little out of your era, but Forrest Gump's definitely in Step Brothers. I've kind of have favorites for every genre. So yeah, comedy would be Step Brothers, or maybe Talladega Nights. Ricky Bobby kind of sticks with me. Obviously, my name's Ricky, so I get a lot of "You're not first, you're last," or a lot of people call me Ricky Bobby back home. So that one's a good one. Forrest Gump for drama / comedy too, I guess. Favorite Disney movie, Fox and the Hound. So do I like the 450 or 250 better? I've always been more of a 250 guy just because I like the indoors. 450 started gelling with me this year. I really like the 2018 450. And the only thing that I've done to this bike is suspension, whole shot device here. That's works connection. And then throw a sprocket on here. And that's really, and then of course the exhaust. So that's really all you gotta do to a 450. And another kind of 2-question, 1 answer that I can kind of put in here. What's your favorite obstacle to hit on the track, and am I good in the whoops? My favorite obstacle is probably the whoops. So yeah, since it being my favorite, I like to say that I'm pretty good in them. Just growing up in arena cross, I've walked a couple supercross tracks, and supercross whoops are nothing compared to arena cross whoops. So I was always kind of bummed that I never really got the opportunity to do supercross, just the fact that I was always really good indoors. So but yeah, whoops for sure. And Benny also asked if I look at the pin. If there is a pin, I know that some of the gates. Why are you so sweaty? was watching cops. Did you touch my drum set? But no, some gates have it, some gates don't. I just really rely on my reaction time. I stay super calm, super comfortable on the line. A lot of people get really amped up, get that heart rate up a little bit too fast, I think. I stay as calm as I can, and I wait till the very last second to look at the gate. And my reason for that is the longer you're looking at the gate, the worse your reaction time is going to be. So if you're waiting for that 30-second board and you're full throttle, waiting for that gate to drop for 30 seconds, your reaction time is going to be way worse than if you were looking at that gate for 5 seconds. So that's kind of my theory with the starts, and it seems to work out for me. I've always had pretty good time with that. Actually, the track doesn't have them. Yeah, they're kind of hard to build. A lot of people get hurt in them. You know, a lot of outdoor guys growing up, they don't ever see whoops. They can do some supercross triples, they can do all the rhythms, but unless you ride whoops a lot, they're hard to get comfortable on, even the guys who do it all the time. But that's definitely one of the few separators on an indoor track is the whoops. A lot of people, you know, they say jump for show, corner for dough, which is still very true, but whoops are a big separator. So you'll see a lot of guys at Monster Energy Cup that don't like racing it because they want whoops, they want separators, but the promoters want close racing, so that's why at Monster Energy Cup you won't see whoops. All right, we'll get a couple more questions in here. I don't even know what time it is, but I'm not in a huge rush. Pick somebody who's been here for the whole time for this jersey. A local pro told me to watch the pin. Yeah, the pin, you know, the pin's going to drop first. The pin's what holds the gate up. So when that pin's going, and, you know, if your reaction time's really good, you might run into the gate. That's really the only downfall to looking at the pin. I've only ever hit the gate once or twice, I think, when I was on 60s or 80s. So yeah, it's just reaction time. And when that gate's moving, I'm pretty much going anyways. So I've got a couple hole shots growing up on 80s on Michael SC. I've got a hole shot on Ryan Dungey, actually the same race at Millville, and led them for a couple laps. So that's pretty cool. I'll take that one to the grave with me. Not many people get a start on Michael SC. Let's see here. When did you get your first injury? My first broken bone, I was riding with Cody Gilmore. I was 11 years old on KX65s, and I was doing this like 85-foot triple on my 60. I think it was fifth gear wide open, and I got cross-rutted up the face and landed completely sideways on the landing and broke my left wrist. So that was the first one, and then did break a collarbone a year after that at Ponca, and that's when I switched over to Honda. Oops. I appreciate it, Garrett. Thanks, man. Yeah, I was a little nervous. You know, being the first live video Q&A, try to make it, you know, as smooth as possible. Try to answer your questions thoroughly without running out of breath. Could have done it on a computer, maybe a little less shaky. You won't see my finger go across the camera, but I wanted to be, you know, by my bikes in kind of my element when I'm working on bikes. And, you know, if we're talking about dirt bikes, might as well be by them, right? So I hope that this grows. Make sure that you guys do subscribe to the MotoHub on here. So a lot of you guys I know do follow and are ready to roll on every Wednesday when this pops up. So definitely make sure you're sharing it and getting the word out there. Pretty cool app. Nothing like it. You know, social media network for dirt bikes. And when I was at Oak Ridge, I got a couple people in person to sign up for it, and I know that they've been using it. So it's only going to grow with time. I know it's still pretty new, and it's only going to get better. So I hope, you know, I'll be brought back on at some point. I know the list is pretty long right now, so I was fortunate enough to even get on here, and very fortunate to be the first one to do this. So definitely appreciate the MotoHub for sure for giving me this opportunity. And when you're live, that's cool. Yeah, it's a little cold, so a little short breath. My fingers are just really cold. That's really about it. Just kind of put them in my pockets. But yeah, I think I'll go muscly. Yeah. So yeah, let's go over some sponsors that I have. And then I think I got a Sharpie in my pocket. I can sign this for you guys live and then call it a night. So, first and foremost, thank Storm Lake Honda. That's the Honda dealer out of Storm Lake, Iowa. Top 50 dealer, Honda dealer, and Polaris dealer in the country. So Jeff Schultz, tell him I sent you there. They're always willing to hook people up that know the Draper family. FMF, the back fender here's a good one to kind of go over a lot of them. But Storm Lake Honda, Twin Air, Works Connection, Vortex, Race Tech, FMF, 100%, which 100% technically I'm not sponsored by, but we threw them on there anyways. Rhino Power, Works Connection for the whole shot devices and clutch levers. So awesome people that, make it possible for local pros like me that aren't under a tent at Supercross or an outdoor national. So pretty cool to still get some support at this age. Let's see here. Yeah, almost 3,000 users of the MotoHub. Yeah, I did see that. That's pretty cool. I appreciate it, guys. So what I think I'll do, I did see one other rider have people ask a question, and I think what I'll do is see who was all paying attention throughout the whole time. Whoever the first person is to answer where my best friend Dylan Cloyd trains at will get the jersey. So we'll let that first person answer that one correctly, and we'll send it your way. I appreciate it. Thanks, MotoFaith. See if any of you guys get it. Oh, Garrett got it right away. I tried even throwing in some MTF, GPF, Club MX in there too to see if anybody would get confused. So, all right, Garrett, we'll send you the jersey. If you follow me on Instagram at RD821 and send me a message, I'll follow you back, and we'll get this jersey sent over to you. So we'll sign it right now. Got a Sharpie, and when I log off, I'll sign it and get it sent out to you first thing tomorrow morning. So that's totally cool. Hey, we need everybody. I have moto nerd or moto enthusiast, anything. Without you guys, the sport doesn't keep going, really. So yeah, I appreciate you guys coming out. Thanks for sitting here and watching me for 30 minutes plus, and hope to hop on a couple of other live Q&As myself and come chat with you guys. So thanks again. We'll sign off here. You guys have a good night.